Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be interviewing with Christina Hall, who is a social media consultant and coach. So stick around if you want to learn some awesome growth hacks and learn more about how she became a female entrepreneur from the age of 21. So hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. All right, guys, so today we have a Christina Hall, owner of Hall Social LLC. And Christina, if you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, your age, and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'm Christina. I am 30 years old, a whopping 30. Yeah, so a little bit about what I do. My business is, well, I always say I have two sides to my business. So I do I offer social media services to businesses, honestly, around the world. I've worked with companies as far as Belgium. So my services include just really managing people's social media from top to bottom. What that looks like is doing all their content creation. So the photos, the captions, the hashtags, all that really good stuff, and just really establishing their brand awareness on social media. Those services are really beneficial for those business owners who don't have time to handle their social media accounts and they want to outsource it. So that's what my company does. We just basically manage social media and make sure that your brand is out there and known. And then on the other side of my business, I offer coaching. So for online coaches or entrepreneurs that want to handle their social media but don't really know where to start, I help them just really leverage social media to their best ability so that they can increase their sales and their brand awareness and just really establish that influencer type feel to their social media. So yeah.
That's awesome. How old were you when you started this?
Yeah. So, okay. I started this. Wait, how old was I? That's actually a really good question. 21. I was
Wow.
21. Yeah. So, wow. Now that I say that out loud, that's really bizarre. So, yeah, I graduated. Um, I graduated college from the University at Albany. It's in upstate New York in 2011, and that was really, which I guess this is actually perfect timing. That was when our economy was in a really bad recession. So the last time we were in recession was when I graduated
Wow. Full
college. Yeah,
circle.
the right, full circle. That's kind of crazy. So I basically didn't know what to do. Like I was like, what am I gonna do? I just graduated. I literally had nothing planned, which I don't advise anybody doing, but considering the time we were in, if you graduated at that time, it was really, really limited. So I remember seeing like an ad on, I think it was Craigslist, and a company was like, we need somebody to manage our social media. And I was like, I can do that. Like I didn't know anything about like I knew how to use social media, but not for businesses. And
Mhm.
in 2011, people weren't using social media for business. So yeah, I was 21 years old, fresh out of college, and I just started doing social media as a freelance gig on the side. Wow, that's weird. 21.
That's amazing. And it's crazy because even though back then it wasn't as congested as it
Yeah.
is now, you can still do what you're doing now and start now. Like that's
Yeah,
what I'm doing
yeah,
now. And
exactly.
I
And it
just
was
started
very
in
scalable.
2019. Yeah.
Right, you're fresh and you're coming into it later in the game, but not a bad thing to come into it later in the game. What I always like, especially people who are coming into social media services now, you actually have an advantage, because if you're probably 21, 22 years old, you grew up more with social media than I did. So yeah, it's been really great, and I was very fortunate enough to always freelance on the side, doing those social media services. And it just so happened to stick with me. And now we need social media for businesses even more. So like you just said, it's weird how it all comes back full circle.
Wow, that's awesome. So what were you doing for work before you started this business? I know you were in college. Were you doing anything?
I was, yeah. So like I said, I started so the social media services I've been freelancing on the side again since 2012.
Mhm.
But I didn't make it into a full-time business until 2 years ago. So what I was actually doing was I was working corporate jobs. I worked for a huge printing company for a while. They like print magazines and everything like that. People magazine, things like that. I actually worked for that company working on People Magazine, which was really fun.
How
Yeah,
fun. Yeah.
it was cool. I got to do a lot of cool stuff with that. Then I actually worked for Enterprise Rent a Car. I worked for them at one point. Yeah, they're like, so it's funny working for them. They're actually like, if you're trying to get into sales, like a high-end sales job, no matter where you go, they'll go work for Enterprise first. It's gonna help you. It's weird, but yeah. So
Okay.
did a lot of corporate stuff, and then but I could never stick to those jobs. Like I would do them, I would be there 6 months to a year, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. But I always kept the social media going. I always had clients on the side, even if it was just one or two clients at a time. I always had them there. So yeah, working in corporate life before making this a full-time job.
Awesome. Would you say that kind of just your passion for social media in general made you want to pursue this full time and turn this into a business?
Yeah, so there's a couple of reasons. So definitely the passion. I love social media. I think it's, well, okay, I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite. I don't love social media. I love social media for businesses though. And I think it's a very great marketing tool, a free marketing tool at that. And I think everybody should be using it. So yeah, I love the social media, but I also really was struggling working for other people, and I couldn't figure out why. And it was because eventually I just realized, like, because you should be running your own business. And so yeah, between the passion and then just honestly not wanting to work for somebody else, and the anxiety I got from going to working for somebody else and going to, your typical, I never say 9 to 5 because I never had a 9 to 5. It was always like 8 to 5 or 9 to 6. So going to those jobs, I just wasn't fulfilled. But I still love doing the social media thing. So I said, okay, you know what? Let's see what happens. And it
I can
happened.
totally resonate with that. With my jobs, I felt like I always was walking on eggshells. And even though every employer I had was super nice, I still had that feeling in the back of my mind, like they have the power to let go of me like this for any reason. So I had always had that, not fear, but it was just this weird cloud looming over me. And that, I think that was a big thing for me too. So you definitely hit the nail on the head with that one, because
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding.
You can
Totally
feel it,
that.
guys. Like I could feel like talking about this, and I've talked about this on my Instagram and stuff, and with my coach, the clients that I coach to use social media, like I've talked about this, like literally talking about it gives me anxiety. Like I can feel my chest like swelling up as I talk about it, because same thing as you just said, it's like walking on eggshells, and always got along with everybody I worked with and things like that. It just never like clicked.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I hold down a job? Like, and it wasn't like I was getting fired, I was leaving. Now I'm like, I've had clients for 2+ years, the same client, working with them. So it was more so making that adjustment, like, well, you keep leaving these jobs because they're not for you.
Yeah,
But
that's
actually
so good.
recognizing that. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome, because it's like you're trying to find your path. So you're no, I guess hopping, but you're really just trying out different things. You're testing the waters. What is it that you're passionate about? And I think even with the sales, with working out enterprise, you
Yeah.
are able to kind of see for yourself what it's like to communicate with people, build
Yeah.
relationships, because in a sense, that's what you do now.
Yeah,
So you are
absolutely.
in sales, really. So
I
it's kind of
am.
a
And
cool takeaway.
it is. Yeah. It's funny because like right before I worked at Enterprise, I was working at the printing company, which is Quad Graphics, or literally in the top two. They fluctuate with this other company. They always like are fighting for the top two spots, but um, they're huge. And it was kind of the same thing. That's where I'd always been in customer service, but that was where my building relationship skills really developed in
Mhm.
that job, because I was an account manager. I had to build relationships with my the accounts that I managed, so with essentially my clients, as well as salespeople and things like that. So once I went over to enterprise, it was an even more building a relationship thing. So yeah, it's funny because I'm always like, I hate sales, and I was like, I guess I've kind of been in sales,
Kind of
but
what
there's
you
different
do.
avenues of sales. So
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. So during all this time, when you started to where you are now, I'm sure you had a lot of help or a lot of support to back you up during this. It's hard
Yes.
transitioning and starting out a new business. There's so much that comes with it. Who would you say has been your biggest support system during this
Oh,
time?
that's a good question. Honestly, honestly, probably my boyfriend because he thinks completely different than I, and in a wonderful way. I love it. That's all I'm gonna say. It's very different, but that's it. But he was probably my biggest support because my parents are very, very supportive. Well, my dad is very much like, do whatever you want, like live your dreams. But my mom, who is very supportive, is also very logical. And she's very much someone like, go to school, get a degree, get the job, stack the 401k. And
Yes.
that's not how I operate. And she's a nurse, like she's been a nurse since she was 19 years old. Like
Hmm.
that's all she ever knew. Um, so I always had the support, but I would definitely say my boyfriend pushed me the most because there was definitely times where I would let my mom get into my head or my parents, and I'd be like, oh, they'd be like, well, maybe you should go get a job, or like even after I got my master's, they're like, well, maybe you should go work. I'm like, no, I went to get my master's so that I could continue to work for myself. But he really pushed me to like not listen to anybody else. He was like, you have to do what you want to do. And when you are a social media consultant or coach, people don't necessarily understand that. They don't understand what that entails.
Yeah.
So my boyfriend was really helpful with just saying that to me. You know, like people aren't going to understand what you are doing. Like your parents aren't going to understand that they're just not capable of that because it's such a
Right.
different generational thing. But yeah, he just pushed me to continue on this path to really like build this brand and build this business. And
And be confident in
um
it, it sounds like.
he
Because it's
is,
so easy
yeah,
to just like fall into the what everyone else is expecting of you, and you can start doubting yourself. So
and
that's
that's what
that's really
happened.
good.
Yeah, and that's what happened, you know. I was saying to him like maybe my mom's right, and he's really close with my mom, so he knows how she is. And
Mhm.
I was like maybe she's right, maybe he's like no, like if this is what you want to do, like you got to do what's right for you. So if you want to go get a job somewhere, do it, but like I don't want to see you quit in 2 months because you hate it. So yeah, it was nice. It's nice to have that support system. But again, you know, my parents are still supportive with it, and they help me. You know, they're always rooting for me to get new clients. Actually, my mom and my stepdad have pitched me. They've landed me some of my clients.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. So, like, so you know, like I would say at the start, my boyfriend, he wasn't, he was there. So we started dating right when I started to make this business a full time, where I
Wow.
was actually trying to transition into
Hmm.
it. Yeah. So it was him. And then now that my parents finally like are on board, they're like, okay, let's get you new clients.
How cool. So you
Really
definitely,
weird.
that's like, talk about good timing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what is something you wish you knew when you started out?
Oh gosh. Whew, probably probably more the technical side of things. I wish I wish I knew how important like having your website was, and establishing your brand messaging and things like that. Again, I came into social media as someone who was just like, I need a job because we're in a recession and I can't get a job. I don't know what to do.
Hmm.
So for me, I wish, and I think people would have a better time now doing this, but I just wish there was more guidance. Like I wish there was more out there for me to, because again, social media wasn't really a thing at that point. So I didn't really have anything I could like lean on to like gain more knowledge. It was a lot of trial and error and a lot of teaching myself. I'm all self-taught on every program I know, how to build websites, self-taught everything.
Hmm.
So yeah, I wish I just knew more of the technical side of things. I also wish I had a better grasp of how hard it is actually to do this. You can't just step into it, guys. You can't just step into it. You can, like I mean, some people do, but I wish I had more of a guidance on what to do and just more of a path laid out for me. But that's okay because that's what makes the journey that much more special.
Yeah, and it's something you have almost like a testimony to give to other people that are starting out, like, hey, don't do what I did,
Yeah. Yeah.
save yourself that headache. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
I
why I
know that.
coach. That's why I coach,
Right.
because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want people to fall into the same traps that I did.
Hmm.
I don't want, now my system, especially when I'm creating the content, when I'm doing more of the content curation for my clients, my system is just so much different now than it was back then. But you have to always, you're always going to have that trial and error, no matter where you are at in the journey. I'm always tweaking my system, like always. It never ends. So
You have to. I mean, it's always
yeah,
changing. Yeah.
for sure.
Who is someone, and this could be related, a friend, or just someone
Yeah.
anyone in general, who is someone that you really look up to for in business?
Yeah. In business specific. Yeah. So okay, like as I'm like sitting there saying like, oh, my mom, but truly my mom and my stepdad, they're physicians, and up until last year, they were running their own practice, and just seeing all the work it took, and all the things that went into it, and just kind of being on the back end of that with my mom, as she was like really trying to run the whole business as well as
Mhm.
be a nurse practitioner and see patients. Just her fight and her drive has been so inspirational to me. um I always said I was never going to go back to grad school. I was like, I'm not going back. It's pointless. Truly, I don't think it was needed, even though I have it. I still don't think it was needed, but I'm glad I did. Um, but I went to school for journalism. So I was like, I don't need a master's. And my mom kind of pushed me and annoyed me. And I finally went back, but I'm so glad I did. And so it's just really like, I look up to her drive and her fight, um, and just her ambition to just make things better. She grew up super, super poor, and I've never had to ask for anything in my life. Like I've never had to beg for anything. It's because of that life. She grew up poor and she made a life for herself so that my brother and I had a better life. And that's
Yeah.
huge.
I love
So
that. Pick yourself up from your bootstraps mentality. And I think our parents' generation had that, especially if they're immigrants. Like my mom is not from this country. So, I mean, they didn't have anything in Ecuador. And, she worked so hard so that
yeah.
her kids could be, first generation kids going to college and have a better life and not, have everything that they need or want. And so I can definitely resonate with like the whole mom is like our superhero, because they
Yeah,
really are.
they are. And it was the same thing for us. Like even on my dad's side, actually, when I think my dad's side, I think only my one aunt and my uncle graduated from college. Like they all graduated from high school, but not college.
Hmm.
Now on my mom's side of the family, she was the only one who graduated from high school. Everybody else, went and got like a GED or something. And
Yeah.
then, so my brother and I, my mom didn't go to college. Well, I guess she kind of did like a certification program in college, but yeah, it was the same thing for us. It was, building that life so that we could go to college and we could get our masters and we could do this. And um, at this point, actually, now that I say it out loud, my brother and I have the highest level of education amongst our entire family. Everybody, because we were set up for that. And yeah, I get that people, I get we all have a background, but doing doing something with that, like not using your background as a crutch and really taking that and growing from it is such a hard thing to do. But when you do it, it's so beautiful. And that's exactly what my mom did. And I love her.
I love that.
That's
Getting
it.
like goosebumps. It
I
makes me
know,
think of
me
my
too.
mom.
I know. That's why I like stumbling over my words because it like gets me emotional. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's crazy. But
it's so
it's
good.
helped me. Yeah, for
Hmm.
sure. Yeah.
All right. So give us a podcast or book recommendation that has helped you on your journey that you
For sure.
absolutely recommend to your audience.
Yeah, so the first book to ever make a huge impact on me was The 5 Second Rule. It's my favorite book. I actually listened to it. I did the audible of it, but it's basically just go read it. It's by Mel Robbins. It's fantastic. It's a great book, and it truly like inspired me. And then podcast, actually, my favorite podcast to listen to is A Social Media Examiner with Michael Stensler, and it's just always giving really amazing social media tips and tricks. And basically I pull so much information out of that. So if you're looking for things that are all social media, like that is an amazing podcast. And that's my go-to because obviously it's my business and I'm always trying to stay on top
I'm
of
gonna have to look
everything.
that one up for me.
It's good. Look it up.
Gosh.
It's really good. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's called Social Media Examiner. It's got like a blue background and yeah, he's fantastic. He's got really good guest speakers on there. So
Love
I
it.
love it.
All right. So what is one piece of advice you could give to someone who's listening?
Yeah. So my one piece of advice is just, it's so cliche, but like you got to keep pushing. I have ups and downs in my business every single day. COVID-19, for instance, threw a huge wrench in my business.
Yes.
But you know what? You got to keep pushing. And I say this as somebody who really struggled with this until recently. Just because one thing comes like throws in your face, do not get defeated and put yourself in a hole. That's the worst thing you can do. You know, I've had things come my way in my business where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And then I'll go sulk about it. But that's
Yeah.
not going to do anything for me. So keep pushing through with your goals. Because if you got to put in the work, you got to put in the time. You just, if you want it that bad, push as hard as you possibly can. And my mom always said something to me that really resonates is simply make the sacrifice now for the brighter future. And that's it. So you're making that sacrifice by pushing hard, working those hours, really trying to get your business going. It's all going to pay off because all that pushing and all that hard work is the success you're going to get on the other end is totally going to outweigh all that. You're not even
It's
going to
so worth
remember
it.
all that nitty gritty stuff you did
Yep.
because you're going to get there.
You'll look
So,
back and laugh. And
no,
going
literally, it's a
off,
joke.
yeah, it really is. But going off on that, another thing that is just with what you said, if you guys are getting clients, number one thing that I found, especially during this time, is retention. So
Yes.
with the clients you have, I have found that building that relationship and making them understand how much of an important it is to have, social media marketing and branding and all of that, because it's so easy for people to be like, oh, it's not a priority right now, or all of this is happening and we need to adjust our funds.
Yeah.
But I think establishing good rapport and just make them understand how important your business or what your services are.
Yeah.
And that comes with, not giving up and pushing and doing the best job that you can with who you have, even if you just have that one client.
Yep.
Really
Absolutely. And
make that one client your star.
exactly. You know, everything you said is so spot on. Retention is huge and building that relationship. So, and I'll let you guys into what's happened in my business, especially right now, is I lost 5 clients due
Wow.
to COVID. And if you are looking to go in the marketing world, I'm going to tell you right now, marketing is always the first thing to get cut. I have, I don't know, 8, 9 years of experience at this point. Every time a company is having an issue, they always go to cut marketing first. So when it comes to the retention thing, I lost 5 clients. But when I actually sat down and thought about this last week, the 5 clients that I lost were all clients that I had that I just gained in the last 6 months. So they weren't able to see what I could truly do.
Yeah.
Now my clients that I've had, so I have another, I don't know, 13, 14 clients, but they've all been with me for at least a year or more. And none of them have left because they understand the importance. So, and they honestly, sounds cocky, but they love me. Like we just have that relationship.
That's good.
They're not going to let go of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So really like building that relationship, making people know like, no, this is important. Like marketing, anybody who got rid of marketing during COVID is honestly a moron because this is a perfect time. Like this is when you need your marketing company the most. So yeah, definitely building those relationships is going to help with retention. And as you just said, make that, even if you have one client, make that one client a star. I lost 5 clients, but I'm able to now do so much more with my current clients and take them even to another level.
Exactly.
Because I'm not spread so thin
Right.
anymore. So
Yeah, that's so good.
yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's see how many questions I have. I actually just have one last question for you. So now's your time to hype yourself up. I want to hear where can we find you? I want everyone to know how they can learn more about your product and your services, find you on
Sure.
Instagram and social media, all that.
Yeah. So my Instagram handle is Christina.e_Hall. And I know you're going to put it in the video.
I will.
But I have my Instagram. That's where you're going to find literally just daily tips about social media. Pre-warning you, my social media, I definitely like to swear. I'm definitely pretty cutthroat. So if that's for you, definitely venture on over and give me a follow. I actually have a podcast coming out and it's going to be released
I'll be
this
listening.
week. Yeah, I'm super excited. It's called Wine Time with Kay. So that's another way. That podcast is really going to cover everything business. So not just social media. We're going to cover everything business. With a glass of wine in hand. And then in terms of my services, yeah, so you can go to my website to see my services, but like I said, I have social media services where I basically handle your social media top to bottom. But if you're an aspiring entrepreneur and you're trying to get started, my coaching services are definitely going to be for you. I offer content intensives where we essentially brainstorm an entire month of content within an hour and I set you up for success. So you don't have to think about what you're going to talk about because it's all mapped out for you. And then I have some group coaching programs that are really, really great too. My coaching services are primarily centered around content creation because if you're really trying to leverage your brand and grow your social media, it all starts with the type of content you are putting out there. So I can help you in either direction. You want me to do it myself? I will. I'd rather coach you though, because I always say if it's your brand, you need to show up for your brand. So yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure so many people are going to be interested in that.
Yes.
Either growing their own brand or learning how to get that good content out. So thank you so much, Christina, for joining me on this call. And guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this interview with me. And I will see you next time. Bye.
See you guys next time. That's perfect.